Robert Salas reported witnessing a UFO hovering over a nuclear missile site on March 16, 1967, at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Captain Salas also stated that 10 Minuteman nuclear missiles shut down, and that the same thing happened again another at another missile site a week later. Another of the group, Colonel Charles Halt, recounted his sighting of UFO at Bentwaters Military Base near Ipswich in Britain. Bentwaters is one of only a handful of bases that had nuclear missiles in Britain. Halt claimed that he saw the UFO fire beams of light onto the base, and then heard on his military radio that aliens had landed in the base at the base inside the nuclear storage area. These men went to Washington to tell their story to the press and brought along declassified documents to help corroborate their story. Astronomers from the University of California and the Carnegie Institute of Washington have found a planet that may be habitable and able to sustain life. Over the past 11 years, the scientists have been observing the red dwarf star Gliese 581 as part of the Lick Carnegie Exoplanet Survey. Planets had been found orbiting this star before, but were considered unable to sustain life because they were too close or too far from the orbiting star. The discovery of this new planet puts the total number of planets in that solar system to 6, the most known in any solar system outside of Earth. Scientists have determined that the planet, which they have named Gliese 581g, has a mass 3 to 4 times that of Earth and has a 37-day orbital cycle. It's probably a rocky planet similar to Earth. The surface gravity is the same as Earth's. The planet is 20 light years from Earth, and this planet, like our moon, is in a locked position. One side is always facing its sun and the other is always in darkness. This makes the planet blazing hot on one side and freezing cold on the other. The most habitable place on a planet would be the transition zone between the two extremes of hot and cold. A new study into the identity of bones found in an ancient tomb have again revived debate over whose bones they really are. In 1977, near Vergina, Greece, archaeologists found an undisturbed tomb full of jewelry, statues, and weapons. Also discovered were two skeletons, one of a man and another of a young woman. The woman's skeleton was just bone fragments, but the man's skeleton was nearly complete. Based on the evidence at the site, archaeologists believed they had found the grave of Philip II, the father of Alexander the Great. Some archaeologists believed the remains not to be of Philip II, but of his mentally disabled half-brother Philip III. Philip III became king after the death of Alexander the Great. More of a figurehead king, his reign would not be successful. Philip II was a strong king whose military victories set the stage for Alexander the Great's conquest of the known world. Philip had married between 5 and 7 women, and this would potentially lead to issues on who would succeed him as king. Alexander and Philip didn't always get along, and Philip wasn't certain Alexander was his son. Alexander's mother, Olympias, had told her son that he was the son of Zeus, and Philip himself went to the oracle and to inquire about Alexander, and was told also that he was the son of Zeus. Regardless of the veracity of these statements, Alexander became king in 336 BC, and after Philip II had been assassinated at a celebration of his daughter's wedding, possibly at the request of Olympias, Alexander's mother. Olympias did have Philip's wife Cleopatra put to death after Philip's assassination. When Alexander the Great died, Philip III became king. It was suggested by ancient historians that Philip III's mental challenges were due to the fact that Olympus was said to have poisoned him as a child. Philip III's wife, Eurydice, was a warrior queen who led an army into battle in 317 BC. During the fight, the royal couple were captured by Olympias, who had Philip III killed and made Eurydice to commit suicide. They were buried, but later exhumed 4 to 17 months later for a royal funeral. Archaeologists who believed the remains in the tomb to be Philip III based their arguments on the artifacts in the tomb dating to a later time, and because of the state of the bones. They believed that the bones had just a little bit of warping, and non-warped bones would mean that the body had already decomposed before cremation, and this would fit what was known about Philip III's reburial 4 to 17 months after his death. In 1980, a reconstruction of the face on the skull was done, and a notch found on the skull's right eye suggested it was the body of Philip II, Alexander's father. Philip had been struck in battle in the right eye and was blinded, uh, which would account for this wound. Also, further study of the bones showed signs of warping consistent with a fresh cremation. Another circumstantial point against the Philip III theory is that ancient sources state that his wife, Eurydice's mother, was buried with them, and no third skeleton has been found at the site. In southern Norway, by the top of the Silva River and North Sea, archaeologists have found under 3 feet of sand an ancient settlement that dates to 5,500 years old. The settlement contains stone structures, pottery, and preserved arrowheads. Scientists were surprised by its size and state of preservation. They have determined that the site was suddenly encased in sand, probably by a flood, and not slowly deserted over time like most ancient sites. Archaeologists have excavated over 300 square yards of the site, and evidence suggests that there is still more area to excavate. Scientists assign the settlement to the funnel baker culture, a people who lived in northern Europe and Scandinavia between 4000 and 2400 BC. I can't help but wonder if this settlement is a pre-flood city, due to the fact that it was quickly flooded and the people associated with the city are no longer in the area by 2400 BC, which is virtually the same time frame as Noah's flood. Not all ancient abandoned cities are evidence of the Great Flood. Smaller floods could be responsible. More information would need to be gathered before we could know for sure. This ancient settlement could tell us a lot about our past history as they discover more of it. Technology being researched and developed out of the University of Arizona, out of Arizona State University, may lead to the ability of the armed forces to use a type of mind control on their soldiers. The use of this narrow technology is being billed as a way to ease stress in soldiers, lower pain, and make them more alert in combat situations. Assistant Professor William Tyler from the Arizona State University School of Life Sciences stated that the available neurotechnology shows that brain stimulation is capable of treating neurological disease and brain injuries, as well as serving platforms around which brain computer interfaces can be built for various purposes. If the technology develops as hoped, some feel this could be a link between artificial intelligence and brain-computer uploading, cyborg research, and even telepathy. We are quickly coming to the point where the science fiction we have seen as children is now starting to become a reality. The problem is, will these types of technology help us, or will it be used to repress and enslave us? Thank you for your interest in this show, and may God bless and keep you. The Revelation 13 podcast is hosted by Mike Hopwood and is a podcast dedicated to the study of end-time events, news events, and ancient mysteries.